Greetings. I'm Pastor Martha Boyer from St. Paul United Church of Christ in Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania. I'm bringing you a message this afternoon about following the rules, God's rules. While God's people had escaped from the slavery in Egypt, they were in the wilderness for 40 years, heading towards the promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey. But you can imagine their dilemma in that wilderness. Things were chaotic because they had lived so long as slaves in Egypt under the rule of Pharaoh that they just had no wisdom about how to live together peacefully. No rules, no guidelines, pure chaos. The only rule that they had had from Pharaoh while living in slavery was, "Do whatever I command you to do, or you will be severely punished or killed." But Moses, who was their leader on their journey to the promised land, had many encounters with God in front of a burning bush up in the mountains. As the leader of the people, he was given from God 10 commandments. These were not suggestions or rules to be broken, but they were very precious guidelines for living together in peace while they journeyed towards their very new home, God's promised land. They were in the wilderness where they had no food, but God provided them with manna from heaven for their nourishment. Here are these very precious rules from Exodus 20, beginning at the first verse. Then God spoke all these words. "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of their parents, to the third and fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. For 6 days you shall labor and do all of your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your town. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and the sea, and all that is in them, but rested the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or male or female slave or ox or donkey or anything that belongs to your neighbor. When all the people witnessed the thunder and the lightning, the sound of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking, they were afraid and trembled and stood at a distance. Now, as our families are staying home more these days, almost 24/7, there's so much more togetherness. It is up to parents to come up with guidelines for living peacefully within the household in such close corners. More than ever, we need rules to live by at home and with our families. Try reading the Ten Commandments as a family group. Rules are needed. Rules are needed more than ever as we strive to teach our families how to get along together and live in peace in close quarters. Won't you pray with me this afternoon this familiar prayer from the musical Godspell? Oh, dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day. Amen.